Welcome to the Wisdom Seat Podcast. In this episode, Michael sits down with his longtime friend Susan Piver to talk about community, creativity, pain, loneliness, and other things we're afraid of. They also discuss how applying mindfulness impacts how we run a business, how we teach, and how we learn. This episode was originally produced by Applied Mindfulness Training as part of their Mindful Voices series, and we're grateful for their partnership in sharing it here. You can learn more about their work at appliedmindfulnesstraining.org. Enjoy.
So thank you, Susan, for coming on here.
I'm so happy to be here. And anytime I have a conversation with you, I'm glad. If you want to call it a podcast, go ahead.
No.
And I'm just really happy to talk with you.
Great. Thank you. If you could just inform our audience a little bit about the Open Heart Project and the work you do. I think it's best coming from you instead of me trying to characterize it. If you could just give us a précis, so to speak.
Sure. The Open Heart Project is an online meditation community with close to 20,000 members all over the world. It's online only. It's always been virtual, and it's got everything that bricks and mortar or physical meditation center would have. There's a teacher, there's teachings, there's special events, there are retreats, classes, guest teachers, all the things. And that's the best summary.
Cool. Well, I've always been so honored that you invite me to be part of that community, frankly. And I continue to enjoy so many of the people that I've met there. We practice together, and so we kind of brother and sister community, so to speak. So, thank you for the work that you do. But that brings me to one of the questions. As you know, the applied mindfulness approach that we have is how does one actually, you do this practice, you sit still for extended periods of time, train your mind, stabilize your attention, and then you live your life. And that's, what happens is kind of the question that this podcast is about. What happens? And we're going to get into that a little bit with you, but I'm curious with you, building community is a huge challenge. And, we've grown up in this mindfulness. As mindfulness has unfolded, some have been more successful than others at building community and sustaining community. And I do believe in my own experience that a lot of folks who do this practice long for community as their practice grows and becomes deeper. And I'm just curious, what has it been like for you to build this global community? What are the rewards, challenges, insights? It's a big softball, obviously, Susan, but what's it been like building this community?
Well, I appreciate the question. And it's been surprising, I would say, almost more than anything. I did not anticipate that this would happen. I never set out to build a community. I'm not trying to be disingenuous. I set out to offer support to people that wanted to practice meditation, but did not have access to a meditation teacher, which turns out to be 99% of everyone. Can't find a meditation teacher. So I thought it would just be, here, here's some videos to support you. But then, just as you say, people want to know each other. They wanted to know me. Then I wasn't quite sure what to do. So I'll just be perfectly honest. Whenever I started to look at it as, I need to build this community, so let me find out best practices for social media promotion, all those things are important. I'm not dissing them. I really lost interest and lost motivation. But when I looked at it as like the world's most, to me, interesting art project, kept me super engaged to this very day. Like, what does it need? Where does it want to go? What did I try that looks icky now? And what needs refining? Then that's been for me a great joy. It's been for great joy as an art project.
Yeah, well, let's push in there a little bit about this art project aspect, because what I heard you say is the growth of the community has been organic is sort of naturally unfolded based upon, human interactions and natural momentum. But you also said there's a creative side, an artistic. Say a little bit more about this creative, artistic side of cultivating community.
Mm. It has been organic, just to emphasize that point, because I think that's core to the art project.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've done some advertising and so forth and so on, but basically it's keep creating things that, not that people want, but that I want to learn more about. And that sounds really
That's
self-centered when I think of it. But yeah, no, that was my instruction from my own meditation teacher.
Right.
Was you must teach what you are studying, what you are interested in,
Right.
not pulling things from outside of your own heart.
Yeah.
That's turned out to be fantastic advice, as well as all the other
Well,
advices.
let me say something there real quickly, because as business people, we both understand that understanding the market, appealing to the market's needs, appealing to the color and the tone of how people want to digest information or products or services is an important discipline, period. You'd better understand that if you want to be in business. However, what I'm hearing you say is, this isn't a business. This isn't about trying to necessarily appeal to people's situations. It's more about building an authentic dialogue from who I am to who you are.
And having that be a business.
Yeah.
Because it is a business. And I take pride in that part too, because as my philosophy, as it were, is the Dharma is here in the West. And when the Dharma arrives on any foreign shores, it mixes with the dominant culture.
Right.
And it changes the dominant culture and is changed by the dominant culture.
Right.
And now it's here. What is our dominant culture? It's not Judeo-Christian thought. It's consumerism.
Yeah.
So how do we blend what we do without cheating any piece of the Dharma? Because that would be #fail, Palukaville, Ixnay. And also while making a business that thrives and is successful and is abundant. And I made a conscious decision early on to not have this be a nonprofit, because I don't want to walk around with my hand out. That just feels really embarrassing to me. So I wanted it to, I really wanted it and want it to work as a business. And it does. So, and you and I both come from this point of view. Yeah. We come from the business world to Dharma as work world. So that's, I think, a little bit different than how most teachers end up in such a situation.
How this conversation is going to go, I have no idea, because I just let things pop in my mind. But, one of the things I love about how you do what you do is it feels so familiar. In other words, when I come on to see you give instruction or give a little talk, it's like right now, there's a little coat on the back over there, and you're sitting there with a great smile in your book. And it's like I'm in your house. It kind of reminds me back in the 50s a little bit about when I was a kid watching TV. It would be like, oh, I'm in someone's home. Or, what is it? I'm sure that's not as deliberate. I don't know. Tell me a little bit about your style and the way you do things,
Well, I think my style is that there is not a particular style that has been adopted from the outside, just like you. Right. So here's a good example, I think, of the style.
Right.
I started teaching recently small retreats in my house in Austin, Texas, 10 people, 12 people. And I've really loved it. And we sit in my living room, and there's cushions on the floor, and I make them lunch, and then they got to leave. And it's been a pure delight.
Right.
And in the second retreat, an attendee said, this must be how the Dharma was transmitted in the before days.
Yeah.
people got together in someone's living room.
Right.
And I'm the teacher, but up there at night, I'm chopping vegetables and I'm cooking things and I'm preparing some lunch for them, which is a great delight for me. It's not onerous at all. But I remember feeling the first night I was doing that, this is part of it. This is part of the teaching seat that I enjoy. I'm like, we're meeting, we're connecting. I'm not saying the only difference is I've been doing this longer.
Right.
But there's, as I'm sure you know, there's this balance to find always between I am the all-powerful Oz, hear me, and oh shucks, I don't know anything.
Right.
This is what I heard. Maybe it's true. I don't know. Some middle way between I know everything and I know nothing somehow really came alive in the living room with the salad plates. And
it reminds me of an experience I had. I'll never forget it. It was brief, but it was very powerful for me. The context was the Karmapa was giving a teaching, and it was very crowded, a couple hundred people. Anyway, my job was to sort of go out and make sure things outside of where the Karmapa was fine. And I went out and I was walking around. And I went into a kitchen area, and there was a Zen woman in there cleaning and cutting some things. And, everything was happening right over here in this giant shrine room where the Karmapa was speaking. And it was Glassman Roshi's wife. She was in there cutting vegetables. And I went in and I said, hi. I said, I think this is what I do. And I sat there and I cut vegetables with her. It was really remarkable.
I get what you mean.
I'm kind of welling up a little bit because we had a great conversation about life. And it lasted for like 15 minutes, and she didn't know me from Adam, but it was a very powerful moment. And what you just told me reminded me of that quality of ordinary household energy,
Yes, ordinary household energy.
Yeah.
And as teachers here, we're not monastics.
Right.
We're not sitting in caves. We're, you started out by saying, how do you live a mindful life? Or where is the whole mindfulness practice once you leave the cushion? And what you describe is the vibe, I think, of the answer.
Yeah. Well, let me just keep rolling along here. I think we have maybe another 30 minutes or so. You like myself, interact with all different types of people. I mean, for me, I interact with everything from data scientists to truck drivers to tattoo artists to criminals, all kinds of different beautiful display of humanity we get to bump into. And I'm just curious, from your perspective, how do you see people in your community applying mindfulness in their lives? What is your experience there?
Well, the first thing that comes to mind is they cry a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's always touching. I hope that doesn't sound patronizing, and interesting and moving when that question comes up, which I had that question too in my practice life. Why am I crying so much? So that's one thing. There's just a tenderness and a vulnerability that is surprising and completely expected. But also one hears, I used to blow up whenever this kind of situation happened. And I found that I have more patience. I have no idea where that came from. There's often the flavor of, I don't know where this came from, but I'm taking a chance creatively. I'm being nicer to others. I'm standing up for myself more. I'm telling the truth, but not with an agenda. It just sort of happens. I'm being more genuine. And as practitioners, you and I know that's a direct result by a mysterious mechanism that cannot be deconstructed. That's what happens.
Yeah.
You become yourself.
So let me just repeat that back, for me, just to say it, is the impact that you see mostly is, if I heard you correctly, is that people begin to conduct their lives in a more healthy manner. whether it's standing up for themselves, being available to their own tenderness, being more patient with what would normally have frustrated them, those kind of almost an interior dynamic that they began to find a more healthier presence in how they engage just life in general. Is that what you're saying?
That's one way of saying it. And another way of saying it is they come into possession of the three qualities of the awakened mind, but courtesy of Manjushri, Avalokiteshvara, and Vajrapani. They've developed wisdom, compassion, and bravery.
Yeah. Well, there's a great direction to go. Let me ask it this way too. My proclivity is, awake at work. How do you find yourself applying those three wisdoms in a variety of circumstances? Like, for example, in business, I find that leaders who do this practice are no longer trapped by bias. Mm. Right? They're able to see a bias as kind of more fluid thing than a fixed mindset, and it makes their curiosity about problems, decision making, social cues. They're more alert and able to sort of be more authentically curious about things. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's just a different languaging that I'm using there than you would use. But if you follow me, is there, like for instance, is there a soccer player who's in your group who goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe it. When I get on the soccer field, I feel more free with the ball"? Or is there any, I hate to be overly practical because you know me, I'm not the one who chases after benefits of this practice. Mm-hmm. But besides just the emotional comportment of ourselves, is there any kind of unique circumstances that you can speak to? Like, I know I'm speaking too much here, but people who are in prison settings, I've done a little work there. They find that in the confinement, they don't, at least the couple that I've worked with, they're not as claustrophobic. They're able to sort of, okay, I'm here. Let me be here. Let me work with the dynamic. Is there any kind of examples, if you get my drift here, of how people are applying these lessons that they learned, either as a mom, a truck driver, those kinds of things?
Yeah, countless examples. And most of them have to do with the pain of encountering the pain of samsaric life, of just life. One person I was talking to recently, her college-age son was diagnosed with cancer. And nothing can make that okay. No mindfulness is going to be like, oh, I've got that. Yeah. But it's helping her be with him.
Right.
For real, and herself.
Right.
There are countless such examples, but maybe it's because of what I write about or tend to be interested in, but it's often about relationships. Right. I can show up for them. I am afraid to love, but I'm doing it anyway. Things have gone off the rails and I'm hanging on. Yeah. I'm not trying to fix it. And the main benefit seems to come, shockingly, not from myself, but from Sangha, from being together with others who are making this journey with mindfulness or meditation as a foundation. That's the real benefit. That's the thing that people keep saying, this is changing my life. These people feel like family. We're going to get together in person. I mean, it's fantastic every time I hear that. I'm so happy.
I found that as well, that the breakouts are a lot more fun for people than listening to me talk, that's for sure.
Who knew?
Right. They just enjoy breaking out and getting to know one another. And it's very rich, it's just, and also with the global aspect, there's someone from Sao Paulo, someone from Copenhagen and Vancouver, all in the room together. It's pretty cool.
It is cool. Yeah. It really is.
Well, let's push. I
don't know if that answers your question.
Oh yeah, sure. Anything you say would answer my question. But it's interesting because the tone of how you address these questions I'm throwing at you reminds me more of Pema Chodron's work. I've been very fortunate to have been an assistant director at some of her retreats. Not anymore. I mean, it's been many years, but I remember the quality of the conversations that mostly women, but there were men there, but I would say it was 80-20, maybe 70-30. The tone of the conversations of what they were exploring. Like, I just lost my son to an overdose. My husband is an oncologist and he's going to die of cancer in the next 3 weeks. It's like, I mean, territory that I personally feel wildly ill-equipped to venture into. I mean, I feel I've grown brave enough to go there, but I feel like I have a penknife at best. That's the only equipment I have. You know what I mean? Like I'm not like skilled. But it seems like, Pema has a lot of courage in going there, as do you. And it seems like a similar territory. Your books, The Wisdom of a Broken Heart. I was just looking at it. I love your table of contents, by the way. It's a great table of contents.
Thank you. Very proud of that table of contents.
It's very good. But like The Wisdom of a Broken Heart, that, and I just want to throw it to you because, the hard questions. I remember the hard questions. Your bestseller, New York Times bestseller. I remember when I first met you, I said, "Oh, you've written a book. Oh, let me see that book." And I open it up and I start reading a couple of the questions and I go, "Oh my God, WTF? I'm not asking myself that. That is too scary. What do you?" And each page was scarier than the next.
I believe you said, "I'd rather stick a fork in my eye." That's the quote.
That's right. That's right. I'd rather stick a fork in my eye than ask myself these questions. But the issue is, it takes so much courage. It takes so much vulnerability. And it seems like the territory you prefer to go to. Seriously, tell me about that. I mean, you incline to go into that territory.
Well, thank you for the kind words first. And I think it's because I'm not trying to be cute, but it's because I'm so clueless and afraid of being hurt and hurting someone else. So the hard questions came about when I was getting married. I'd never been married. I really didn't want to hurt this person. I really didn't want to hurt this person. And it seemed that most of the pain in my past relationships were because we couldn't make a life together, not because we didn't love each other. So I'm like, well, I got to go there for him. I'm not trying to paint myself as a saint, but I really care about him. I don't want to hurt him. And then I just kept finding over and over again, that was early in my life as a practitioner, that in my own marriage now, over 20 years, the Dharma, the things I learned in seminaries and from reading Trungpa Rinpoche and Gampopa, those were the things that came to me as helpful in my own relationship problems. And I also felt like, this is a cool art project. What if I did this? What if I did that? Not in a cavalier way, clearly, but it just seemed like, well, if other people knew these things, because our lineage, our practice is all about heart opening and the vulnerability that comes with that and the power.
Yeah.
We've been trained.
Well, for me personally, I've clearly learned to become a little braver in my life. But I'm still a bit of a wuss. I have to say, here's why.
Yeah, tell me.
Some of the questions in the hard questions, like, for example, asking your your spouse, will you have sex with other people?
As far as you know.
Yeah. Or is that something that you keep as an open option, right?
I'd like to know.
Yeah. I love that. Hey, good question. Let's have a glass of wine. To me, that's like, oh my God, why I don't want to know. Do I want to know that answer now? I mean, is there a way for me to hide? You know,
Fair enough. How about this question? How much
Yeah.
money do you have?
that's
the
easier for
question
me.
for most people.
That's easier for me. 'Cause,
Okay, well, that's hard for many people.
okay. Well, maybe I am braver than I thought.
Well,
but there's certain emotional territory that by opening the door before you even need to, so to speak, you're introducing yourself to possibilities that, frankly, you may want to avoid in your life.
fair enough.
Yeah, but
The thing is, all of these questions are going to come up anyway.
that's what I was going to say. Avoiding questions that you hope you could skirt is cowardly, as far as I'm
Yes.
concerned. And I believe me, I know all the rules of cowardice. I can explain them to everybody. Very good at it. So you tend to actually go into the house and check every door, open every closet, look at every little secret, pull it out, clean it up, put it on a thing, point to it, have everyone's, you look at it, smell it, inspect it before you don't want any hidden corners in a certain sense.
Well, I want people to have their privacy. I want my own
but
privacy,
about yourself.
even in my own marriage.
Right.
But no, I don't want to pretend.
Okay.
I don't want to front, and I don't want to hurt anybody. I mean, I don't want to be hurt, but I don't want to be a fool. I want to be skillful and intelligent in the way I love and open to love, which is harder.
Yeah.
I want to go there. I want it to be deep. I want it to be real and ordinary. Not la la.
Well, to me, I guess I'm just afraid to say goodbye.
Of course. I understand. Yes, I appreciate that. And I wish other people could see your face as you say that. Honestly, from the wisdom of a broken heart and the Four Noble Truths of Love and various things I've written about relationships, I feel like the reason that most relationships or many relationships don't work is because we don't want to say goodbye.
Right.
Let me just do it now. Because it's too effing painful.
Yeah.
Every relationship will end. And if you love someone for decades and you're close and you're intimate and you know each other and you share life and then they die, that's the best case scenario.
Yeah.
That's the best case scenario. Yeah. What the hell?
Right. I could actually plead cosmic innocence, which is the height of aggression, by the way, that she died, versus when I got divorced from my first wife. I mean, I still love her to this day. It's heartbreaking to say goodbye to someone you love that much.
Unbelievably heartbreaking. And that's our world.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a warrior's path. I don't have to tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just amazing how, well, I guess it to me, as you know, bringing mindfulness into mainstream situations, which I've been doing, as you've been doing too, for quite some time. I get into conversations with all kinds of folks, data scientists, CEOs, communication specialists, programmers, whatever. It goes on and on and on. And often the way mindfulness has come into the culture is, as you bring mindfulness into mainstream, a lot of people are engaging the practice from the point of view of becoming a better version of themselves.
Right.
But what happens in the case that we're talking about here is they were invited to explore some very profoundly redefining territory of who we are as human beings. Mm-hmm. And, I have to hand it to people like yourself and Pema and others who sort of go into that world. I mean, I wander in, I stumble in, I kind of try to do my best, And I'm just curious about what it's like to work with a community or work with people as you bring people or accompany them, so to speak, into those conversations. I mean, your books are about that, right? Mm. What's it like for you? What's it like for them to many of them, I'm sure, like I learned to meditate, reduce my stress, and before they know it, they're talking about the fact that I've never really liked myself and I need to learn how to love myself.
Yeah. Yeah. I stumble around in it too, of course, as a teacher and a student. But the teaching instruction I got when I was trained to be a meditation teacher remains my guiding light, which is don't teach anyone anything. Help them to discover something. And that feels right to me.
Yeah.
That feels good. I can't teach anyone anything. I can share what I've learned, but I can set up, and you can set up a situation where people can discover for themselves their own wisdom, their own inner teacher. And that seems, if I thought, oh, I got to go teach you how to do this, that would be crazy. But if I think, well, I trust you, I trust your wholeness, and I trust the teachings, and I trust myself, not to be great or to know things,
sure,
but to be honest.
Sure. I can attest to that.
So that if you can trust the student and you trust the teachings and you trust yourself, then that's all one can know. That's all you can do. And then see what happens, I think.
Well, let's switch a little bit here. Susanna, I'm talking like you're my wife. Says shows you how much I love you. Susan, what big question do you have that you want to answer?
In my own journey?
Sure.
When will I ever get it?
Right. Go on.
When will I ever wake up? When will I stop? When will I see clearly? When will I stop pretending like this is going to work out?
Yeah.
How about you?
Well, I will come back to that in a moment, that question you just said. But, I frame that in a similar way that, when will I stop postponing the obvious?
Mm. Yeah.
There's a quality to us as practitioners where we think if we could just, there's a little like, if we could just do X, then it would be Y, rather than just arriving.
Exactly. I think things like, well, when I have X amount of money in savings, then I'll start thinking about becoming enlightened. But I got to get that first.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, I'm just like, I'll freak out.
Yeah. But you and I have had that conversation. And, part of what I do is actually seeing those types of panics as like key issues in terms of freedom.
Say more.
Well, that one of the reasons why, the story where Trump Chase told me to go get a job. I thought I was going to be a monk, for God's sakes, and here I am working on Wall Street. But it began to dawn on me that modern workplace was uniquely designed to amplify human confusion. and to bring it into stark clarity. And like fear was a big one. People were afraid to lose their jobs. They were afraid they couldn't pay the bills. They were afraid of not being, promoted. They were afraid of not being respected. They were afraid of their boss. They were afraid. There fear everywhere. Well, according to the tantric tradition, that's good news, because you want to see the panic. You don't want it to be lingering in the background. You want to drink the panic. And for me, the workplace was like, whoa, it's everywhere. Everyone's afraid.
But then why wouldn't you answer the hard questions?
Because those questions are like, about my girlfriend and and the size of my genitals and things. I'm like, what?
Not.
Oh my God, I just don't want to. I'd rather deal with, the larger kind of environmental panics, which I do believe are very helpful, obviously, but
Really?
they're not as powerful as what you deal with.
I don't know about that.
Well,
they're worthy panics. They're worthy panics across the board.
That's true. I mean, there are gradations of panics, but the bigger issue is that as practitioners, what I heard you say is there's always seems to be, we continue to sort of hedge our bets.
Right.
Just hedge our bet a little bit about being authentic and awake.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think we should be so hard on ourselves, because, it doesn't really matter, because you can just wake up right now if you'd like.
I know. We've been the luckiest of lucky human beings to get. Anyway, we've just been very lucky with the teachers and teachings we've encountered. I know may sound like a non sequitur, but I got to figure, I have these questions. Everybody's got these questions. But I have so much faith in what we've been taught that I think maybe.
Yeah. Maybe. Well, there is a story where Jordan Rinpoche said, "No, you don't have to attain enlightenment this life. Don't do that. Just really? Perfect one taste. That's all. Just get that done. That's it.
Okay.
There you go, Susan. That's well within your,
Put that on my to-do list.
Just write that down. Put that on your refrigerator.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know we had a little gap there. I don't know what the timing is on all this, but I guess we're coming to the end of our conversation. Did you have anything that you wanted to bring up? Because I have one final question for you.
The question is, would you like to write a book about awake at work when you work by yourself? That would be I would really like to read that.
Well, so let me repeat this back. Is there a book, Awake at Work version 2
that you could write?
You understood about working when you're just a sole contributor, or where you just describe this idea of working by yourself?
Well, solopreneur.
Oh, a solopreneur. Oh, that's interesting. But you do have interactions with people and that kind of stuff.
Totally.
Right? Yeah,
absolutely.
This is an area of great interest for me, and I have put a lot of thought into it. I'm not sure I want to write another book about work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, people are going to get tired of that. I mean, I've written 4 already, but here's the key. The emerging dynamic that I do believe is one of the key ingredients for successful global livelihood, so to speak, is being an authentic colleague. Mm-hmm. That up until this point, a lot of literature, a lot of organizational development work is about leadership, leaders. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. I love it. I've been doing it, for 40 years now. But given where things are going, like this very conversation we're having here, that that there's self-organizing dynamics that are occurring where you don't really need the traditional leader as much as you need to affiliate with colleagues that you can have confidence in, that you can trust,
Mm-hmm.
that are equipped socially to be able to kind of adapt, listen, learn together, share easily, deal with ambiguity together. And these kinds of things, those are those are the talents that are most sought after now.
Really?
And it's really colleague to colleague, not leader to team,
Mm-hmm.
which then speaks to a lot of these solopreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
Because what you're doing is you're building collegial networks of
Mm.
trusted openness that often are based on, depending upon the business you're doing, is often based on pretty sophisticated social intelligence skills.
That's very interesting.
That's an area of great interest for me. And I've done a lot of work in
groups. There's just 3 of us in each group.
Right.
And we don't work on the same topics, but we have similar kinds of businesses where we create things and we're the face of it. And then we have courses and products and not the same content at all.
Yeah.
And I live for those conversations. They're really, really powerful and useful because when in the solopreneur world, and you probably experience this too, and in some way, you're constantly looking at yourself. Yeah. You can't get away from yourself. It's just everything you see is it's very hall of mirrors. Like you show up one day, you're like, oh, I'm feeling pretty good. Oh, look, I look gorgeous in this mirror. And the next day you show up, you're like, oh, I don't feel so good. And then you're just like this super distorted image. And that's all you have. There's no one to reflect things back to you.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Well, I think the idea of loneliness, I'll tell you, a lot of people want to become CEOs. I was talking to this young kid the other day. He's like in his 30s. And he said these businesses, he's like, well, I haven't been very successful. And then why? He goes, well, my first business, I sold it 3.8 million, and I should have sold it for 4.2. I mean,
oh, Jesus. Oh, Lordy.
He's 34. He's a really cool human being. And he's
must be
really getting into practice and stuff like that. But my point is he was saying to me, oh, I want to be a CEO. That's what I want to be. I said, why? He goes, well, you have a lot of power and you can do what you want. You can organize things. I said, yeah, could be true. I don't know. But I'll tell you this, all the CEOs I work with is very lonely. Very lonely.
I kind of get why you say that.
Yeah. Because it's difficult to have an eye-to-eye relationship and to sort of explore the unknowns of who you are and what's going on, because everyone treats you like the CEO.
That's right.
There's always a little puppet show going on.
It's the same with being a teacher.
Yeah.
In a way that nobody knows and nobody should know or know. What is your experience as you're teaching? What was it like for you, this program? Well, it's kind of not appropriate to, it's not, I'm not better. I'm not on a pedestal. I'm not worse. It's just not peer to peer.
Yeah. Well, we've had this conversation. I struggle with that. I don't like the title teacher student. It often creates more, it's less clarifying than it is often confusing. Now, obviously, I've been trained as a teacher, both in terms of my master's degree in adult education, and, been trained by teachers and expected to teach, but at the same time, there does seem to, as the Dharma comes to the West, there does seem to be this issue that I've yet to fully investigate, maybe because I'm getting too old now, I probably never will, about what is the relationship. I'd like an eye-to-eye relationship. And that's why I love the phrase warrior. because warriors look at each other eye to eye.
True.
And they, if I can help one warrior with something I know, and God bless, I help. But if you got to go see Susan can help me with this. Go see her for that.
Right.
That dynamic I enjoy because it feels less hierarchical.
Understood. At the same time, there is a hierarchy in some way. In other words, you happen to be on the teacher's seat. I mean, I won't keep you all day, but you happen to be in the teacher's seat. And I'll just pretend I'm not in that seat, then it's a disservice somehow.
Yeah, I've gotten that feedback. Yeah.
People want you to not
take your seat. Yeah.
Take your seat.
No, I agree. I've gotten that feedback.
For the Dharma.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's what's really in the seat. Someone was telling me something. Oh, we have these daily meditations in the Open Heart Project, 9 a.m. every day, free for Open Heart Project Sangha, and 30 minutes long, 9 a.m. East Coast time. And different teacher every day of the week, Monday through Friday. And someone was telling me, one of the teachers, it feels good each time, even though the teacher's different. There's some, through line, some thread of Sangha that happens each time, which is great. And to me, what I thought was, that's great because that means the view is in the teacher's seat.
Right.
And that's what's really important.
Yeah, that's well said. Yeah, it's well said. The view is the key. And I guess that's one of the teacher's main role it's not just even bringing the view, it's living it.
Yes,
embodying it, to as best we can.
Yeah. And being confused by it and challenged by it and uplifted by it and all the things.
Right. Let me throw you this last question because
okay.
we could actually have a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and just keep talking here. At least I could with you.
I could too.
Yeah. So here's the final question. Yeah. I don't know how many people here in the audience. It could be 5 people or 5,000 people listening to this conversation. I don't know. What 3 pieces of advice do you have to the audience for bringing mindfulness alive in everyday life?
3. Well, the first one immediately comes to mind is trust yourself. Trust yourself.
And say more about that. What does that mean? Trust yourself. What does it look like when you don't trust yourself?
You keep looking for the answer from someone else, or a strategy, or a technique, or 3 ways to do this, or you're vetting your experience against the proclaimed outcomes. Oh, it says if I meditate, this will happen and that will happen. Well, who knows? Trust yourself.
Yeah.
I believe
what I hear there
I'm not the first person to say that. The Buddha said that.
Well, I also hear is have confidence in the experience you're having.
That's right. That's a good way to say it. Have confidence in the experience that you're having.
Okay. What's your second piece of advice? Why are you making that face?
I don't know. Let's see. For people that want to live mindfully.
Right. How bringing mindfulness. What 3 pieces of advice do you have for bringing mindfulness alive in your everyday life? The first one was trust yourself. Have confidence in your experience. Deb?
I guess the second piece of advice, it would be don't expect anything to work out. And that's where the gold is.
That's cool.
Jared, give me a second. Whatever it is, this was advice given to me by Tulku Tunda Rinpoche. This is killer advice. When you find that you're not able to bring mindfulness to life, or you're just defeated by life, you could feel sad and all that. That's cool. But just explore it with the knowledge that when you meet someone in the future who is experiencing the sorrow that you now experience, you will have so much compassion for them.
Yeah.
So that's a long-winded piece of advice, but to make your way through it is something to do for your own benefit, but for the benefit of all.
Yeah.
That's empowering.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah. I mean, if I could live my life through that, with that all the time, I mean, no problem. I mean, even if there is a problem, God bless, there's a problem, because there's a sense of relief there in having.
I'm doing this for us.
Yeah, we're doing this for all of us. Yeah.
Thank you, Tulku Tunda Brumbache.
Thank you to Brumbache, and thank you to you. So, Susan, we're going to close now, but there's a few things I want to remember here. All right. You're writing this book that you feel very, very confident about. I understand.
You picked up on that, did you?
That's right. Oh, I can tell. It's rolling right out of you on the Buddhist Enneagram.
Oy, oy, oy.
And say a little more. When is it out? Just give it a couple of headlines there for us.
It'll be out in September. And I literally just finished the first draft, a complete first draft. And the Enneagram has been extremely important to me, as you know.
Yes.
And as far as I know, it has not been looked at through a tantric lens. And what does it look like when you think, oh, I'm Michael Carroll, I'm a 2, which maybe you are, maybe you aren't.
Right.
On the Enneagram, and my difficulty is with generosity, which it isn't for you, obviously. What would the Dharma say about that particular difficulty?
Oh, that's interesting. So let me say, so you're taking the Enneagram's kind of assessment of the dynamics that you find yourself in, and whether they're your strengths or blind spots or aspirations or whatever. How do you take that discovery and see it through the lens of a Buddhist lens in terms of how to work with those dynamics?
Exactly. How is this poison also a medicine? So it's a very tantric in my mind, because for me, envy and equanimity are the two ends of the spectrum. Longing and equanimity. Well, Buddhism has a lot to say about those two things.
Well, yeah. Well, the other thing too, Susan, is one of the things I recollect with the Enneagram is it does also speak to one's health, not just their poisons, right? Obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Equanimity is the health.
Yeah. Right. And you would then also speak to the dynamics of how does meditation help us cultivate those healths and those wisdoms and skills and talents, right? Yeah.
What does the arc of transformation look like within each of these 9 energies?
That's cool. That's beautiful. Okay.
I think there are 12 potential readers for this book.
12.
Putting you down as one of them.
That's right. There's 12, and they also have 2 family members that they can force to buy the book.
Oh
right.
my God.
All right. Now you're also, God, I didn't get to ask this question. We don't have enough time, but if you make a few remarks, I know you bring meditation to the whole art of writing, which is now another applied mindfulness. How do you apply mindfulness to writing? And you're going to be doing a retreat April 23rd to 27th in Austin, Texas. And I know those are, limited seating, small, intimate groups. But say a little bit more about that retreat and just give us a couple of quick headlines about the application of mindfulness to writing.
Okay. It's very small, 10 people. And it's periods of meditation interspersed with periods of writing and then conversation. And you could think you're a writer or not, it doesn't matter. But I've taught this now for over a decade, I think. And I've seen it over and over again through this weird formula: meditate, write, rest, talk, repeat, words come out. And the thing I noticed for myself was that both meditation and writing are one-pointed and panoramic simultaneously. We know about meditation, but writing is like one word. You can only write one at a time. But at the same time, how do you know what to say?
Cool.
Something arises. So there's this interplay in both practices that is synergistic, I think.
That's full. So that's like kind of one of the principles you introduced the writer to is this precision and kind of openness simultaneously to how you write. So that's pretty cool. And then you do those retreats, a couple of years. So for the audience who would like to explore that, reach out to Susan. And then the final one is meditation instructor training, March 17th. Let me just say a couple of things here and tell me a little bit about it. This, I think, is one of the really, really important dynamics that's occurring, with David Nichtern and this group, Wisdom Seat and others, is that the freedom to help people take their seat as someone who can impart the meditation instruction.
Mm-hmm.
I think certain lineages do that well. Others seem to hold back. And I do believe that a lot of the progress that you're doing and others like David Nichtern and others is really, really important. So thank you. That's all I was going to say. Thank you for the work, that you're helping people, like a teacher in a classroom wants to maybe teach it to the kids, but, he's learning or she's learning how to do the meditation, but, how do I do it, so that I feel confident? Well, here's a way of doing it. You don't have to become some lama or something. There's a way to do it genuinely and openly and help others, So anyway, say a little bit about your training, if you could, your meditation instructor training.
Sure. It's immersive. It's 11 weeks. So it's not 3 years, or it's not about becoming a lama, as you say. It's about, I want to share this practice with my students, with my clients, with my colleagues. And I went to 2 talks on mindfulness. That should be enough, right? Because that's what's happening. So I wanted to create training with my co-teacher, Jenna, that would help people who genuinely want to offer it because they genuinely see the potency of it, to do so responsibly. So it's about imparting the technique, answering the most frequently asked questions, knowing who not to teach because meditation is not good for everyone,
right,
and supporting people as they are on their journey of discovery, where you're not teaching them anything, but you're helping them to discover something. So we've trained probably 350 people by this point.
Yeah.
And it's my favorite thing to teach. I love
That's
it.
great. No, really, thank you. I know a few people have gone through the program, and it's been very helpful to them and to the people that they help. One friend, I won't name names, but she works with young children in the classroom, and the ability to impart or even help young children learn how to work with their attention is important stuff. So
it's a big deal.
Yeah. All right. So, and anything else that you want to mention, or anything you would like to close on before we say goodbye?
I love you. You have to include that. Don't cut that out.
Good. Yeah, right. But you're like, I love you too. You're like my sister. So it's
I'm very happy that we're friends. Really, really happy.